Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Disney bride Yamel Code Picon about her ceremony at the Wedding Pavilion, with a reception at the St. Augustine Ballrooms at the Grand Floridian Convention Center and a dessert party at Germany Promenade in EPCOT. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how she chose all these locations and how she planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Yamel.
Hi, Carrie.
Thanks so much for being on the show today. I would love to start at the very beginning and find out how you and your fiancé decided that you wanted to have your wedding at Disney.
We decided to get married at Disney because Jose proposed at the Enchanted Rose, and it just felt so natural to just get married at the Grand Floridian. It kind of just meant so much to us. And once we walked into that space, it was just so beautiful. The Wedding Pavilion is just so gorgeous. So it was kind of like a no-brainer for us.
How did your friends and family react when they found out where the wedding was going to be?
So they weren't shocked at all whatsoever. They knew exactly that that's what I would want. They were just a little bit worried because, you say Disney wedding and you start seeing dollar signs. So once they saw how much I was, doing my DIYs and really making it happen, they all got really, really excited.
That's great. How many guests did you invite and how many were able to make the trip?
We invited 60 and 45 made the trip.
Oh, great. Did you set up a room block for your guests?
Actually, no. We had a lot of friends that already lived in Orlando, and we actually did a rehearsal dinner at an Airbnb. So the whole family kind of just stayed in this one big Airbnb.
That's a great idea. Did you get it catered or just barbecue or something?
We did a cater, yeah. We used Boca de Pepo.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was really cute. The backyard had a Mickey, like a mini golf course in the backyard. And they had a big Mickey artwork in the middle of it in like sand. It was really cute. It was just so on theme and it wasn't even planned.
Huh, that's a great idea. How did you guys choose the day of the week and time of day for your event?
Since I was little, I've wanted to get married in November. My parents got married November 7th, and I always thought that was the perfect time of year. And I actually really wanted to get married November 7th. I was just like, I don't know, I was enamored with that date. And the White Hall was not available for our pre-ceremony. So I was like, okay, what else can I do? Can I do a Friday? And it just so happened to be Food and Wine Festival. So they were like, we can, but there's no way we can do the dessert party in EPCOT during this time on a Friday. So I was like, okay, what else can I do during the weekday just so we can make sure we can have that dessert party? I really wanted it the same day for my guests. It would just be so much easier, since they're all traveling. So we decided on the 21st. It sounds weird, but I've always liked the number 2. It's always been like one of my lucky numbers. And I didn't want it to be the same week as Thanksgiving. So we just chose the 21st. It was just kind of like it just fell in our laps and everything was perfect. Everything was available and we could do our dessert party the same day.
That's great. So did you choose the time of day based on wanting to do a dessert party?
Yes. So the dessert party kind of helped us shape the rest of the day. I decided to do the morning. That way our guests could go back home, take some rest, and then they can come back to the dessert party and fully enjoy it without being too tired.
That's a great idea. I know people sometimes get wary when they first investigate Disney weddings and they find out so many of us do our ceremonies in the morning and they think, well, what are people going to do in this gap? But actually, the longer a gap you can provide your guests, the better, because like yours, if they're off site, it's a lot easier for them to go back to their accommodations and relax and then come back to Disney World when it's time for your dessert party.
Yeah, that's right. And it worked out really, really well. So what they did was they all came back to the Grand Floridian. That's where I was staying. And we took the monorail over, and it was kind of fun having the whole wedding party get on the monorail. It was kind of like the whole monorail was just for us. So that was really fun. There was just one moment when the first time we tried to get on the monorail, a mom with her stroller ran over my dress. So that's a big tip. If you're going to do the monorail, just be careful with your dress. Be very cautious of your surroundings. But, we got off just so she could have more space, and we decided to take the next monorail. And that's actually when my whole entire wedding party and all our guests actually showed up. So it was kind of perfect. And we all took the monorail together. It was so much fun. We took pictures. It was great. It was like a whole separate party.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, how did you choose your ceremony and reception venues?
The ceremony, I wanted an indoor space. Every time I try to do something outside, it always rains. So I was like, all right, if I need to do something indoors. I have really frizzy hair and I couldn't handle frizzy hair on my wedding. So I'm like, okay, something inside. And when I saw the Wedding Pavilion, pictures don't do it justice at all. I walked in and I was like, this is the most magical, most amazing space I've ever seen. Like, my jaw was on the floor. It had my dad practicing how he was going to walk down the aisle with me before we even decided that that's where we were going to get married. We went with my parents to go see it. And that's it. We don't have to decorate it. It was kind of like a cost saving as well. So it was just, that was it. Like, that was it. There was nothing else we needed to look at. And then we chose the St. Augustine Ballroom just because it's so close. It was easier for our guests to be able to just kind of hop on over. Whereas any other venue, they would have had to travel. And we have family members that it's just easier for them to just go over to the other side of the resort and enjoy the rest of the day, knowing that they had to go to the dessert party as well later on that day.
Got it. Okay. Did you choose any outside vendors for the portions of your event that you were able to?
Yes. So we chose RKM Photography for our pictures. She was recommended to me by one of our friends, and she was absolutely amazing. Our friend actually did our engagement photo shoot. And when I asked him where he learned these tricks, I've known him for years. I didn't know he could take pictures like that. And he was like, oh, my friend taught me. She's a wedding photographer. Her Instagram is RKM Photography, and I completely fell in love with her photos. And then as we got to know each other, we spoke on the phone. We actually became really good friends. We talk almost every day. Very, very, very fun time with her. She actually spent the night in the hotel with me the night before. So we had a slumber party the night before the wedding. It was just so much fun with her. So it was like hanging out with a friend all day. And someone that she really knew my vision of what I wanted, and she fought for everything that I wanted. All the pictures I wanted, she fought for me. She was like my little bulldog. So she was great. We also used Merrily Married for our videography. We found them on the Dis Brides Facebook group, and we just love their energy. We had a meeting with them, and I remember right when I got off the call, I looked at Jose and I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to be best friends with them. They're so amazing. And everybody kept talking about how much fun they were, and they were so awesome to be around. So not only did we have these awesome videos, but they added to the whole vibe of the wedding. They were so great. Then for our invitations, we used JLB Papery, who we also found on Dis Bride's Facebook group. They were amazing in taking our vision and putting it on paper. They really, really, really understood what we wanted. So initially we reached out to them for our invitations, And when we fell in love with them instantly, the moment we saw the invitations, and we actually hadn't sent out the save the dates yet, we immediately placed another order with her for the save the dates. And she had so much fun with them. It was just amazing. So easy to work with. My husband's cousin, he created a logo for us, and our wedding was Beauty and the Beast themed, and he made us as Belle and Beast. And JLB Papery was able to add that logo right onto it, onto our invitations. And it was so cool. Everybody was like, this is so neat. So, I mean, she was just so easy to work with, and it was so customizable. And then we used Haley Finnegan for hair and makeup. So I actually found her on TikTok. It was really funny because I was scrolling through TikTok and then she just kept coming up. And side note, I am a makeup and hairstylist for brides, and I've done hair and makeup for years. So I was very picky with my hair and makeup. Like, that was one of my biggest, I guess you can say, challenges in the planning, was who can I trust to do my makeup? I've never, ever liked anybody who's done makeup on me. So I was like, all right, you know what? Her makeup is really good. Her hairstyles are on point every single video. So I reached out, we did a trial, and I was just wowed. I was wowed. Like, when I saw my the mirror, I was like, that is not me. She did such an amazing job, absolutely understood my vision for what I wanted with my hair and makeup. And her team was just phenomenal. We had my 2 bridesmaids, and I had 2 maid of honors. They all got their hair and makeup done, and my mom, and every single one were just like, this is not real. This is a picture of us. This isn't a mirror. we're airbrushed, and we're just perfect. And the makeup lasted all the way till the dessert party. It was just perfect. So I'm still in shock when I look at pictures at how good she did.
How did you guys choose your officiant?
Ooh, that one was fun. So my baby cousin, she is like my favorite thing in the whole world. She was at the time studying, and so I didn't want to, take away from her focus on school. So I was like, okay, I don't really want to make her a bridesmaid because I feel like, the events and everything, and she's finishing school. She's really focused on her studies. I was like, okay, I'm going to have her do something with us the day of. We can still get ready together. She can still be in pictures, things like that. And she can still stand with us. So for the engagement party, that's when I kind of gave everybody the bridesmaid boxes. And before I did all that, she looks at me. She's like, oh, did you know the other day I got bored and I became an ordained minister? And I was like, what? Hold on. What do you mean? First of all, what do you mean you got bored? Second of all, what? Do you want to marry us? And she started crying. She was like, oh my God. So it was the most random thing. It's just like, I just did it. And I was like, this is like the most perfect, because I didn't know how to kind of like bring her into the whole mix without her feeling super overwhelmed and stressed with school. And it was so amazing. I mean, she knocked it out of the park. She had so many jokes, and she had everyone laughing. It was so much fun. Oh, it was so perfect. And it made it so special that someone, in our family that means a lot to us was the one that married us. It was amazing.
That's fantastic. Did you guys add any kind of entertainment to the ceremony or the reception?
For the ceremony, we kind of stuck to the entertainment being kind of like within just us. We had the jokes. My cousin made so many jokes. We took pictures with selfies and the whole entire, all the guests and everybody. So we took a big selfie with the selfie stick, which was a lightsaber. So it kind of was in theme. And then we had a flower dude who kind of just took the show. He was like full silliness down the aisle. And you could hear, I could hear everybody laughing all the way from the bridal suite. It was the best. So we kind of stuck with it being just us. In the reception, we had our DJ, who was phenomenal. And then we had created a DIY flower wall so everyone could go take pictures. I set up my iPad with like a photo booth app, and everybody, if they weren't on the dance floor, they were taking pictures at the flower wall. And we also had like a little Polaroid with my cat's face on like a wooden stick so they could take pictures of my cat. And that thing, I found that thing all over the reception. It was so funny. I was like, it was almost like a game, like find the cat. It was so funny. That's kind of the extra entertainment that we added, along with the music. And then, we had the dessert party later on.
Got it. Who set up the DIY photo booth for you?
So it was kind of all hands on deck. My wedding party and some of my family members, they set everything up. So I was a strictly DIY bride. We made everything. We wanted to focus on, our budget really going to like dessert party and things that are very, very unique for a wedding. And I was like, I thought back to how many weddings I've worked and how many weddings I've been to. And I was like, okay, what's really important? What stuck out to me? And what didn't stick out to me is those are the things that I eliminated. And then I was like, okay, what can I DIY from what I remember, like the centerpieces and things like that. And so I kind of really did everything DIY, and my bridal party and family set everything up, and it was beautiful. We had written down notes and instructions on how to set everything up. We did some trial runs and things like that. And it was just, they really, really did everything perfectly.
That's amazing. Do you have any menu items or cake flavors you would recommend?
Ooh, do I? The lavender cake with the white chocolate mousse. Oh my gosh, I have dreams about it. Ever since we did our cake tasting, we just could not stop talking about that flavor. It was the most amazing combination. And it's a combination I actually haven't heard from anybody else before. I really thought I was going to go. I heard a lot about the lemon with the blueberry. So I thought that's what I was going to like, but we somehow played around with the white chocolate mousse. Oh my gosh, it was so good. We actually saved a little piece and brought some home from the cake tasting for Jose's family to taste. And they kind of did like a blind taste, and they chose the same exact flavors. It was so good. It's kind of funny. That's what I was most excited about for the wedding, other than the obvious, was the cake. I was like, I just can't wait to eat our cake. It was so, so good. To this day, I'm like, can we break into the top tier a little early? It's so good. And then the other thing that stood out, we have a lot of meat eaters in our family, but I actually do not eat any meat. So we had vegan cheeseburger egg rolls, and it was the hottest thing at the dessert party. Even the meat eaters were like, the vegan egg rolls were the best, way better than the regular cheeseburger egg rolls. So that one was so good. And it just came up when we went to the food tasting. We were just talking about different kind of food that they can make that wasn't at the food tasting. And they said, yeah, you can choose everything. I mentioned the cheeseburger egg rolls because I know everyone loves them. And just joking around, I asked them, I'm like, oh, if you can make it vegan, that would be great. So I could finally taste it. I keep hearing about these cheeseburger egg rolls and how delicious they are. And they go, yeah, we can do that. Oh my gosh. That was like, no way. And they were so good.
Can you tell my listeners a little bit more about your dessert party, how you chose Germany Promenade, and whether you added a ride mix in?
Yes. So I did a lot of research on the best angle, where to look, where my guests would have the best time. We made many visits to EPCOT as well to check it out. And we really liked Germany. And, we realized that when we would go visit EPCOT with my siblings or with our friends, we always would stop at Germany. And that's where we would pause. We would take things in, and we would talk about life and make jokes. And I didn't realize it until we were there at the dessert party that it kind of worked out for the best. We have so many memories in just that one spot. And when we go back to EPCOT and we pass by that spot, I'm like, oh, that's where we've told these jokes. And now I can say, oh, that's where we had our dessert party. So it was really cool to kind of, create more memories in the same spot. and we had a Remy mix-in. So we originally had the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, but we had a few guests that wouldn't be able to ride it. It was just a little too intense. I myself do get vertigo, so I was also worried about when we take pictures the next morning. When my vertigo starts, I'm dizzy for a while. So I was like, oh, I don't know if I should chance it. And so after I spoke with some of the guests, I did ask them, would you like this ride? And most of them said they would sit it out. So we actually changed it to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and every single person was able to ride. They all had so much fun. We had a lot of people attending that did not really go to Disney, especially with Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, because it's such a long wait, and a lot of them have not gone on that ride. So it actually provided, the ability for them to see it and experience it. And a lot of them afterwards were like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like that. The trackless ride is so cool. And so it was really neat. I really like that, to share that experience with them.
That's wonderful. Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the wedding day all fit together?
It was a 2 a.m. wake up time. And I say wake up loosely because I never fell asleep. So it was a 2 a.m. wake up for hair and makeup. We started with my matron and maid of honor, and we kind of just like cranked up the music and had a good time, stayed awake. And then my mom and my other bridesmaids showed up, and we were there until about 6:45. And that's when I received a call from our day of coordinator that said that Jose was all set up and ready for our first look. And then that's when I set out to our meeting spot to go have our first look at about 7:15 is about when we had our first look. So we took our photos around the lobby with my husband. There was, oh my gosh, I wanted to take pictures at the Enchanted Rose so bad, but they were able to take off they have like a rope set up because it was still closed. And so we were able to take pictures in the doorway. So we took pictures there for a while. And it was really very special. It was just me and him. And then we went outside and joined our wedding party outside and took some pictures outdoors. We took pictures right outside of the lobby. And then we took some more pictures with our wedding party at the Wedding Pavilion outside. The sun was just perfect. It was like, I swear it was a paid actor that day. It was the most beautiful sun I've ever seen in the morning. And then, I went to hiding so no one would see me. And my husband kept taking pictures outside with everybody. Around 9:00 is when the ceremony started. And we had a pretty short ceremony. I didn't want it to be too long. I've sat in some pretty long ceremonies. And so I was like, I don't want to be, I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be short. I want everyone to have a good time. So we made it about 15 minutes long. So around 9:15, it was done. We had our farewell with our bubbles. And then I want to say we took family pictures until 9:30 in the Wedding Pavilion. From there, my family went to set up. And so if you think about setup time, knowing that my family, when my wedding party kind of set up the reception area, I mean, they really set everything up with minimal time because they did take pictures with us after the ceremony and then ran over to the reception. And then at 10:30 was the pre-reception. And while everyone was in the White Hall, they kind of snuck us off into a separate room. And I thought that was so amazing. It was so nice to have just that time between me and Jose and kind of just talk about everything that's happened and catch up. And that really helped slow down the moment, right? Because until then, you're kind of like run, pictures and ceremony and all these things are happening. And so that moment really helped us stop and just review, replay everything and talk about it all. It was so lovely. And then next thing I know, they're calling us and they're like, do you want to take a peek of your reception room? Oh, I think I cried harder seeing the reception room than I did during the ceremony. It was so beautiful. And to know that my family did it, it was just, my family, my friends, it just brought so much emotion out of me that they did all of that in a short amount of time. It was amazing. So then we had our start at 11:30. We did our first dance. We did our speeches, all the norms. And then I actually snuck away back to the hotel room to change into my reception dress. So it's a big perk to stay in the Grand Floridian because I was able to just run back and change and then run back to the reception. And actually, there were things that were forgotten in the setup, like very small things, but you could run and get them and come back. So that was awesome where I could just go change and I didn't have to worry about where am I going to put my dress or my shoes or anything like that. My wedding party had stuff in the room as well. So if they needed to go get it, it was just right there. They didn't have to worry about storing it under the table or anything like that. And then we danced until 3:30, where we went back to our room. Everyone went back to their hotel to take a break. I found a luggage cart and my husband and I took pictures with a luggage cart. And he kind of pushed me around the hall. So we're supposed to be napping, right? We're supposed to be taking a break and no, we're rolling each other across the hallway with this luggage cart, and it made the funnest pictures. It was so much fun. Of course, our photographer was with us, and it was so much fun. So at 7 o'clock, yeah, we got on the monorail. We had our fun monorail party with everybody, made it to EPCOT, and they walked us to Germany Promenade. And I have to say, walking through EPCOT, I felt like a celebrity. Oh my goodness, the amount of people that congratulated you and just, I mean, there was even a cast member that ran out with maracas. I don't know how she saw us because by the time we passed by, she was right next to us. And I'm like, did someone tell her? It was so great. Oh no, it was like the best thing ever. Just like, I don't know. I don't think I ever laughed and smiled that much. It was so nice to just, I would hear like the other park guests, yell congratulations. They start woo-wooing and clapping. And then my brother would just be like the biggest hype man behind us. And he's like, yeah. And everybody would just keep wooing. It was so funny. So we got to the Germany Promenade. We had delicious food, watched the fireworks, and then we went to Remy immediately after at 9:30. And then we took the monorail back to the resort. So it was pretty nice to kind of do the monorail too, because afterwards it was kind of like a nice slowdown to the day. So we got to the monorail. We all kind of like just, at that point, it wasn't much of a party. We were tired. So we were kind of just like winding down all together. So it was really nice. And then I don't think we went to sleep. We just kind of stayed awake until we had to go for our portrait session the next morning.
And would you recommend that to future couples?
Maybe no. Because I'm kind of crazy. I thought it was the funnest thing. I was kind of bordering on delirium, I'm going to be honest. But everything was so fun and so funny during the portrait session. And I think that with Taylor kind of fed off of that. And we had such a fun time. We were laughing the whole time. And when I look back at our pictures, more often than not, we're laughing in our pictures. And I love that. I like pictures where we're in action. Like we do have some poses, but I really like that flow of the action. Like you can see it progressing throughout all the photos. There's some of us dancing, there's some of us laughing, and it came out really well. So for me, I think it was a good idea to do it that way. But if you would like to be awake and not be delirious, I would say don't do it that way. Maybe take a day to rest and recuperate, and then you can be refreshed for your photos.
Okay, so out of all of this, what ended up being your favorite memory of your wedding day?
Well, other than the obvious, right? Like the first looks and our ceremony, I want to say my favorite part was the dessert party. It's something that is so unique from most other weddings. Unless you're having a Disney wedding, you're not going to have those kind of fireworks. And it really, really felt like those fireworks were just for us because we were right there, right in the front. The whole section is blocked off for you and your party. So all you can see is your party. You don't see anything else. So it really felt like it was just us. And it was just so special to do the ride mix-in as well. It is an experience that I would not be able to have otherwise. So I think that was the most memorable, most amazing night, honestly, of my life. So the dessert party, absolutely. And then the theme park shoot, that was the portrait sessions. The portrait sessions was just so cool. Like just driving in also, like the way they bring you to the theme park and they kind of tell you about, what you're passing by. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. So we actually had the theme park to ourselves. We had Magic Kingdom to ourselves. So they didn't have another couple taking pictures that day. And midway, they lit up the castle and it was so magical to just watch it light up. And it was just us. That was a really cool experience. Also something else that it's so unique.
Definitely. Now, when you guys were planning, what were some of the most important aspects of the event where you focused your attention or your budget?
So our most important was photography and videography. For a long time, I've always had this weird realization of you see everybody else get married, you get to experience it in a way where you're observing, right? But when you are the one getting married, you don't get to watch it. So I was like, I would like to watch my own wedding. So to me, the videography was I had to have it. I had to have it. I had to experience it. And I'm so happy I did. That you really try to be present as much as possible, but so much happens so fast that you do tend to forget certain scenarios. And it's really fun to watch back some videos and just be like, oh, I didn't even think of that. So it's really, that was really important to me. I had a feeling something like that would happen. And the photos are just, you have to have photos. That is that was non-negotiable to me. And it was very important to have someone who took photos that were to kind of our vibe and our personality, that matched with our personality. So that was really where we put sole focus on, was photography and videography. I think that was the center of most of our wedding conversations, was our photography and videography and what we wanted to have out of it. And then me personally was the makeup and hairstylist. That was something that I knew, because of my profession, that if I didn't have good hair and makeup, I would just be focused on that the whole time. I just know it. If my hair's out of place, I'm like, oh, I can sense it. I can feel it. So that was really important to me, to make sure that, we had a good makeup artist. And staying in the Grand Floridian, that to me was a huge, huge important aspect of our whole wedding, because since I am DIY, we had everything that we needed with us, and I had nightmares about if we stayed in another resort or if we stayed off property and I forgot something, how would we get it? And okay, so we have everything in the car, but how are we going to get it out? So I just thought staying at the Grand Floridian was just going to be the easiest way to have all of our stuff with us, and also provide the comfort of if I need a change and I need to switch to my reception dress and my bridal party, where are they going to keep their things? Just having our suite there it made everything so much easier. So those were definitely the three most important.
Got it. Were there any aspects that were less important, where you saved your money or just your effort?
Yes, the floral. So I've never really been a big flower girl. So and it's weird, right? Girls love flowers, but for me, I don't know. It wasn't something that really called to me, and I think it's because since we chose the Wedding Pavilion, which is beautiful all on its own, you don't really need to do anything to it. I mean, you can, and it's always beautiful, but the space itself is just so gorgeous, where I was like, oh, we just did a little garland at the very front where we stand, and that was it. And everything else, I think I just did my bouquet and that garland, and that was it. Everything else was just DIY centerpieces with some Amazon flowers that we got. um, so that helped us really, really save money, because I know floral is kind of like one of the big ticket items. The other thing was alcohol. Since we did have such a really long day, we did open bar for just 2 hours. And since it was brunch, we kind of just did mimosas and Bloody Marys. And it was the perfect amount. Everyone drank what they needed to drink, and then that was it. And they were all able to make it to the dessert party later on. Knowing me, like just me, if I have a drink, I mean, I didn't even have a single drink, but if I drink, I'm tired by the end, like 3 hours later. So, we wanted to provide a little bit of alcohol, have some fun, have some good drinks, but also it wasn't in the forefront of our minds because we did have such a long day ahead of us. So we kind of toned that down to save a little bit of money there, and really just the decor all around. We didn't do any decor for the pre-ceremony, which was actually really nice of Disney. They actually did provide just something on the tables. They did, I believe it was some lanterns on the tables. So it was really nice. They did provide something. But my thought process was they're going to be there for a short period of time. So we didn't really do any decor in the pre-ceremony, nor in the dessert party. In the dessert party, we just had a little candle and that's it. So all of that, we were able to save money there and add it to the dessert party, or maybe more food, staying in the resort. And actually, honestly, when I asked anybody if they noticed, they were like, no, I was looking at the fireworks. I didn't notice that we were missing centerpieces. So it was perfect.
Did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
The day of, I didn't notice anything. Oh, well, maybe I noticed one thing. But now thinking back, it kind of hit me later on. I was like, oh, that didn't go the right way. So one of the menu items that I was looking forward to the most was a ricotta cone with this. It was like a lemon zest ricotta, looked like an ice cream cone with this pearl, like think of popping boba, but it was like a tomato jam, balsamic something on top. And it was the biggest burst of flavor that you could ever think of. You see it and it looked so innocent. And then you tried it and it was like, whoa, where did all this flavor come from? And the day of the wedding, it was not that. It was a cone, but it had arugula, and then it had some ricotta, and then it had like cherry tomatoes on top. And I was really sad because that was like one of my, other than the vegan cheeseburger egg rolls, that was like one of my most anticipated menu items. And I actually really don't like arugula. So I took a bite just to see, because I'm like, this doesn't seem right. And when I got to the arugula, I was like, oh no, no, this is not it. I mean, my guests enjoyed it. I know that Jose's dad ate like 5 of them. He really liked it, but I was kind of bummed. Other than the vegan cheeseburger egg rolls, that's what I was telling everybody. I'm like, wait until you try these ricotta cones. They're so good. And then I get them and they were not the right ones. So that one was kind of a bummer. But by the time I was eating those vegan cheeseburger egg rolls, I completely forgot about it. They were so good. And then something else was in the rehearsal. We found out that Jose and I could not go back to the lobby to take pictures after the ceremony. I thought, for some reason, we could go back to the lobby and take a couple photos on the staircase, on the balcony. And so thank goodness I asked during the rehearsal. I'm like, oh, okay, so I just want to make sure I can go back to the lobby. And she was like, no. The Disney coordinator that was helping us out, she was telling us that the times are set up so that every bridal party and couple has time for their, like the next wedding, they have time in that space as well. It makes complete sense when she explained it. And I don't know why they didn't put 2 and 2 together ahead of time. But I could not get the idea of us taking pictures in the staircase and on the balcony together. So At the last minute, we made the decision to change. We originally had a first touch. So at the last minute, we changed to do a first look instead of a first touch so that we could take pictures before the ceremony and we can get all the shots that we wanted. So Jose was really, really adamant to not see me before the wedding. He's like, I really don't want to see you. I want to feel everything when you first walk down the aisle. And in that moment, we kind of just regrouped. We're like, okay, what's most important to us? Seeing me down the aisle for the first time or the shots that we want, the photos that we want? What's more important? And this is where my photographer, amazing, she's an angel. I love her to death. She came in and she was like, okay, at this point we were friends. We trusted each other. And she looked at Jose and she was like, I'm going to be very honest with you. With every wedding that I've worked, when you see the bride for the first time, there's a lot of pressure on the man is he going to cry and how is he going to react? And she's like, it kind of puts a lot of pressure when everyone's watching you, right? And so she was telling him, if you do a first look, you get to feel everything without everyone watching, without that pressure to perform, without the pressure of, oh, is he going to cry? Is he not going to cry? So when he heard that and he understood, oh, I can still feel this emotion just from seeing her, but privately, he changed his mind. We did a first look. We were able to do our private vows and everything, seeing each other. And then we took the pictures. And, it was actually way better. Before we saw each other, I was a huge ball of nerves. I was freaking out. I was anxious. I'm like, I just want to see him. If I see him, I know everything's okay. And once I saw him and we had our first look, everything was so much better. We got rid of those nerves. We weren't anxious anymore. And walking down the aisle, we still had those emotions. We still both cried walking down the aisle. We still both felt it. And those feelings didn't diminish because we had a first look. So in the end, we got our first look. We had our emotions and everything in private, which was so beautiful. We did the pictures that we wanted, and then we still had that first look, going down the aisle. But the difference was I was wearing my veil, and it really did make a difference. And he still cried the whole ceremony. So that it doesn't minimize the feelings at all.
Oh, that's amazing.
One other one is we took pictures of my wedding party outside of the wedding pavilion right before the ceremony. And all of my guests arrived early and all of my guests saw me. And that was something that really upset me. I didn't want everyone to see me before the wedding. So what I did was I asked one of my friends to go to the front and shut the gate to the wedding pavilion. So it kind of slowed down the crowd. So I would say, be careful when you go to the wedding pavilion and the time that you go, and don't stand outside for too long because everyone will see you. That one kind of hurt me a little bit. Everyone's coming up to say hi and I'm like, oh, okay. Hi, I'll see you later. And then the other one was not being able to take pictures in the Enchanted Rose. I've seen so many other people take pictures in the Enchanted Rose, and I was like, oh yeah, we're going to get our shot. We can take pictures where he proposed. I was so excited. I think that was one of the most anticipated shots that I wanted. And when we got there, they were like, no, you can't take pictures in the Enchanted Rose. And I never understood why. So that was something that it didn't turn out the way that I wanted. We still got a picture in the doorway so you can see the Enchanted Rose in the background, but we never got the pictures inside. So I think what I'm just going to do is do a resort photo shoot and, through Disney. And that way maybe I can do the shots that I wanted in that space. But it was kind of a bummer that morning.
Okay. Now, was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about, and then it turned out not to be a big deal?
The first look, I thought the entire night, the night before, I was so anxious. I was like, oh, this is not something we wanted. Are we making the wrong decision? And it really wasn't as big of a deal as I was making it out to be the night before. And now all I think about with our rehearsal dinner was me panicking about our first look. So it was a better choice to do our first look. It was kind of a blessing in disguise. We really, really loved it. Something else we were worried about was rain. Rain, like that's why we did the inside ceremony. I was so worried about rain. It was kind of like consuming me at all times. I was like, okay, if it rains, how am I going to get there? And then a week before, we had a hurricane kind of heading our way, and I panicked. I panicked for the whole week. I'm like, what if it turns? And luckily at the last minute, it did turn away. And it, again, blessing in disguise. We got the most amazing weather. The day before, it was pouring the entire day. But the day of our wedding, we had like 60-degree breezy weather, not a cloud in the sky, most beautiful sunlight. It was amazing. And then the other thing that really, really kind of kept us up at night was setting up the reception. So our wedding party did an amazing job, but we were still worried. We're like, you kind of feel a certain way when you ask your family members to set up something for you instead of partaking in the festivities. But we found that the Grand Floridian will hold your things for $10 overnight. They'll just store it in one of the closets. You tell them where to drop it off and at what time the next day. And as long as someone's there to accept that the delivery, they'll hold all of your stuff for you. So we had all of the DIY boxes and everything. We put it on a luggage cart. We handed it over to the Grand Floridian. They locked it away overnight, and they dropped it off at the reception at the exact time we needed it. So it was actually really easy to do. And it was really easy for my wedding party. They didn't have to walk back and forth or anything like that. It was amazing.
That's a great tip. Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
Oh, day of coordinator. Absolutely, day of coordinator. It's something that stuck with me after the wedding. My maid of honor, her feet were bleeding from setting up the space. She didn't change into other shoes while running around, and I felt so bad. So 100% day of coordinator is absolutely so important. So important. And if you have an idea of like maybe you're going to do a first look, schedule it. Just do it. It is the most amazing feeling to see each other in private and feel all your feelings. And I feel like if we did that ahead of time, we would have had a better schedule, right? It wasn't, during the rehearsal dinner, we were creating the schedule for that. We were creating the schedule for the first looks and then the photos, and we kind of changed everything last minute. So that's something I would have done differently.
Got it. Do you have any other tips or advice for future Disney couples, maybe from your experience as a professional makeup artist?
So fully communicate everything, even if it's something that you think your vendor would know already off the top of their head, or because they're experienced that, they probably know about this already. Communicate everything. Have pictures of your ideas of what you want. It is so much better to have more information than less information and think that you guys are connecting and, have the same idea of what you want. Because I can say something's purple and somebody else's purple is a whole different shade. So have as many pictures as you possibly can of what you're envisioning and over communicate. If I over communicated earlier, I would have known about, not being able to take pictures after the ceremony in the lobby. So that's like my biggest tip. Also, if you're doing a dessert party, walk the theme park. It is such an amazing experience. There was actually a bride that we bumped into when we got near the Germany Promenade that she was escorted in through the back. And she came in and she was like, whoa, what is happening? I was like, bride! And I kind of got her into it too. And she was like, whoa! So, absolutely walk the theme park. It is so worth the walk.
That's great advice. Well, Yamel, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and advice for anyone who's interested in getting married or having a vow renewal at Walt Disney World, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you so much, Carrie. And thank you for doing this. Like, seriously, it is such a lifesaver. When I was starting to plan, if I didn't have this guide, I don't know what I would have done.
Oh, that's great. That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.